Good afternoon to all of you. I already told you this video will help those who are unable to go to school for any reason, or it will be helpful for below average student. They can understand the thing by reading it very slowly. So we are trying to learn the chemical equations, and a word equation shows change of reactants to products through an arrow placed between them. The reactants are written on the left hand side. Left hand side, this one is right hand side. Left hand side, we called it LHS, left hand side. The reactants are written on the left hand side, LHS, with a plus sign between them. Suppose we are writing magnesium oxygen, then we have to write it like magnesium plus oxygen, and with having arrow mark we write magnesium oxide, which is the product, and it's written on the RHS side, RHS, right hand side, with a plus sign between them. The arrow point towards the products and shows the direction of the reaction. Now, writing a chemical equation. How can we write a chemical equation? Is there any other sort of way for representing chemical equations? So we know there is a chemical equation, and instead of writing repeatedly magnesium oxygen, magnesium oxide, we have to write it in a short form. So it will be very helpful, because we are in 9th 10th standard, and when we will do our post graduation or PhD, or any you are going to scientist in future, then you have to learn all those things from the very beginning, and this one is the right time you have to learn it. So any sort of way for representing chemical equations. Chemical equations can be made more concise and useful if we use chemical formula instead of words. A chemical equation represents a chemical reaction. If you recall formula of magnesium oxygen and magnesium oxide, the above word equation can be written as, we write it magnesium as Mb. It's in chemical equation in short form we have to write Mg. So when you will read Mg, you will understand that it's magnesium. It is written about magnesium. So we have to remember all those things. Magnesium, and to oxygen we have to write O2. Then the same arrow mark will be there, and the product on the RHS side, MgO. MgO. It's simply, we know it's a reaction, and the reaction happened magnesium plus oxygen, product will be magnesium oxide. Count and compare the number of atoms. We called it atoms. What? O2. 2 is here atom. O2. Oxygen, we write here O2. This is atom. But the product is MgO, magnesium oxide. That's why we we write it MgO. This is called atom. 2 here is atom. If you ask me the question why we are not writing MgO2, because the product is magnesium oxide, it's not magnesium oxide. That's why the product is MgO. The number of atoms of each elements on the LHS and RHS of the arrow. In the number of atoms of each element, the number on both sides, if yes, then the equation is balanced. And if the atom is equal on both sides, Mg plus O2 arrow MgO2, then it's a balanced equation. But if it's not, then we called it a skeletal chemical equation. If yes, then the equation is balanced. If not, then the equation is unbalanced, because the mass is not the same on both sides of the equation. Such a chemical reaction is a skeletal chemical equation for a reaction. So when the reaction is something different, then the atom will be changed accordingly. And if the reaction will be same, then the atom will be, maybe it will be the LHS is equal to RHS. We called it a balanced equation, but here it's a something reaction happened, and we called it skeletal chemical equation for burning of magnesium in air. Now, balanced chemical equation. Then what is balanced chemical equation? Recall the law of conservation of